Welcome. I'm Captain Ed, also known as the Commodore of Corrugation, among other things. I'm going to show you some of the most important things that you need to know when you start to design and build a cardboard boat. The first thing you should do is you should work with pieces of paper. Now if you get your cardboard from us, we have 4x8 sheets of cardboard, beautiful stuff to work with. So you can start by taking pieces of paper that you've cut into 4x8 sheets and work around with your design. Here's like a front and a back that I designed. You can, as an example, if you want to get really technical and you took a technical drawing in high school, you could lay it out on the paper and put dimensions and things there, make it look really good. After you've completed the design of the hull, then you can add cute little things to it, like the dragon's head and tail. Could be Puff the Magic Dragon boat, stuff like that. All right. So after you've designed the boat, then you're ready to start cutting it out and working with the cardboard. And you'll need to decide how you're going to cut the cardboard. And if you've got a razor knife around, that always works well. They make these razor knives disposable where you can break the tips off as they get dull. If you're going to work on a concrete floor, use a scrap piece of cardboard underneath so that as you cut through, you don't dull the knife blade on your first cut. If you have power tools, or if your dad lets you borrow his, this happens to be a cordless jigsaw, but you can use it in any way, shape, or form. What's important about this is the blade. You see, most jigsaw blades have teeth, and it makes the cardboard just chatter because their teeth are grabbing the cardboard, but they make a blade that's smooth and has no teeth. You can actually take an old dull blade and grind it down into a smooth blade if you want. But when you have a smooth blade, it makes a real easy way to cut the cardboard. And that's one of the methods we like to use here because it's quick and easy. And we are always ready to be quick and easy. So next thing is to fold your cardboard. Now when you're folding your cardboard, cardboard likes to fold. Cardboard has corrugations running through it, and it likes to fold with the corrugations. No problem there. But it doesn't like to fold against them. So if you're going to be making a fold that goes in any direction, you can take we've got a couple of different things here that work well for it. This just happens to be a little what do they call these? Anyway, if you take this and make a dimple along the line you want to fold, now, bam, the cardboard folds right there. And you can use any variety of tools you want for this. This is just a wire cutters, and gives you a nice handle to hang on to while you're making that little dimple. And if you want to get your edges folded nice and straight, you can use a straight edge, Some people must have everything in order like that. So you can decide how you want to fold the cardboard and how technically correct you want to get on those folds. After you've folded the cardboard and you've got your pieces ready to assemble, this is where I'm going to have my crack team of cardboard boat technicians come in to demonstrate firsthand how a cardboard boat gets put together. Now you notice they are wearing special shoes for safety. They're called tennis shoes. And in case any of the cardboard falls on them, so they won't get any paper cuts on their feet. And so the they've already pre-cut and pre-dimpled this cardboard so it'll fold at the right place and time. They've marked down here where the glue goes, because sometimes these guys are just hardly awake when they do this, and it's a good thing to make sure you get the glue in the right place. It's hard to get off once you put it on there. Alright, we're going to be using construction adhesive. You can use any kind you want. This happens to be liquid nails. Doesn't have to be any particular brand, just good construction adhesive. It doesn't have to be waterproof because the boat's not waterproof. Why should the glue be waterproof? And it doesn't have to hold that long. And we find even though it's not waterproof, it's still holding together sometimes after the rest of the boat is nothing but a pile of mud. So go ahead and apply some of the glue here, and we'll show them the next step here. Now this happens to be the transom section. Now that's technical boat lingo for the back of the boat. I think it's the back.
Yeah, it's the back.
So when you put the glue out, thick globs of glue don't really hold well, but you spread it out using a spreader made out of cardboard, and you want to get that smeared all over the place because that's what makes this strong. Now, you know, one of the things when you put something together that you've glued, unless you're using hot glue, which you can use, but hot glue, you know, I'm not a big fan of it. But what they're going to do, you know, when you glue something, you a lot of times have to put weight on it and set it aside and wait for it to dry. Not with this. We're going to show you how you can use this little trick so that you can just keep working. They're going to take some screws. Now, I've got a few samples here. What I'm showing you here are drywall screws. You can see these are like 1.25 inches, and the thread goes all the way to the end. What you don't want, like a longer deck screw, has part of it that just is smooth. It doesn't have any thread. That helps the screw go into wood. We're going into cardboard though, and we're trying to hold the cardboard tight together, and we want threads all the way to the end because the material we're working on isn't that thick. Now, they're going to put a few screws in, and what that's going to do is it's going to hold those two glued surfaces together, and that way we can keep working on this and not have to set it aside to dry. And that way you can get this whole cardboard boat built all at once and not over a period of days. Now, some of you may want to take days. There are certain groups of guys who get together in the garage and they will spend weeks on this. And that's fine. If they can get away with that, we encourage it. But for other people, they'd rather just get it over with as quick as possible. And that's what I like to do, especially because I'm paying these two guys. So, they're going to put a few screws in it, and as you can see, it doesn't take a lot of screws to just hold that in place. Now, after the glue dries, you're going to come back and you're going to get all these screws out. And the reason for that is that if this boat sinks, and if you follow all my directions, it won't. But some people don't listen, and then they sink. And then if they got all these screws in there, it's like kind of like cat wrestling. It's, you know, except you can't get it off of you. So don't leave any screws in. They're going to be the judges are going to look your boats over and make you remove any screws there. The thing we also advise you, if you're putting this together, keep the screws up a little bit higher. Now when this boat's in the water, it might sit this deep in the water. Now when we put the bottom sections together, there is going to be some screws through the bottom. It's going to make little holes. little bitty holes like that won't sink you very fast. It's not like some big gash caused by an iceberg or something. But any holes that you make in the bottom, when you take the screws out, just take a little dab of the non-waterproof construction adhesive and put it over the hole, and it won't leak there, and you'll be fine. So this is the back of the boat, also called the transom. Now we are going to join it with a center section of the boat, the midships. Now if you are on board a vessel and someone says broad on the beam, they're talking about something off of this section of the boat. They're not referring to a girl in a bikini. So keep that in mind. And
yeah, spin it and set it inside of that piece, because then the water's not getting pushed in.
At this point, there's an important reminder. Don't get in the boat and work on it. Work from outside the boat. If you start walking and kneeling on the boat here, you're going to start leaving dimples in it, and you're going to weaken the boat. And it's, you know, not that strong already. You know, you don't need to weaken it. It's just cardboard here. So show it a little respect. Now, if you have to get in the boat for some reason, because you just can't stand to not get in there, then throw heel and protect your investment in this fine cardboard craft. So, as they smear the glue, and now what I always look for is somebody that, you know, likes bagels and cream cheese, because they know how to smear glue really well. And they're putting this together now, and yeah. Now a few screws, and we will let the adhesive work its magic spell as it joins the cardboard, hopefully for long enough for you to complete a voyage. Now, of course, we're showing you just the basics here. Everybody says, oh, can we do this, can we do this, can we do this? And it outlines in the rules what you can do, what you can use, what you can't use. And we encourage you to be creative. And we would like to see you become an expert at building cardboard boats. And the way you become an expert on building cardboard boats is by swimming to shore. So everyone who's swam to shore goes, I know what we did wrong now. Next year, just wait. We're gonna beat this challenge. And plenty of people do. Your boat has to survive 3 voyages. They're about 110, 115 yards long, the course is. And you have a preliminary round, and basically everybody who survives the preliminary round goes to the second round. And then if there's a lot, we just, for the third round, we pick the fastest ones, but usually there's just enough that everybody can go. And we make this up as we go along down there, so don't be worried. We'll be thinking fast and figuring this out as we go. We do every year, somehow. We've got experts working on this. Anyway, that joins the first 2 sections.
I've got something to add too. If you don't want to put screws through the bottom of your boat, you can use like weights, or like if you've got like paint laying around, you can like set that in there and then let it dry, and then once it's dry you can paint it with the paint that you were using as a weight. So
good idea. If you're squeamish about putting holes in the bottom of your boat, I don't see why you would be, but there's what he's talking about. If you got the cans of paint, which since we're discussing paint, when you're trying to paint this boat, you want to paint it both inside and out. Most of the paint being on the outside, of course. You don't have to use any special paint on this. Some people have preferences. My preference is to go to wherever you keep your paint in your house and that little bit that was left from doing the living room, just use it up, you know? Use whatever you have. Here's the big secret though. The first coat of paint you put on cardboard, make it really light, really thin. You don't want to soak the cardboard first time out, because then the cardboard goes all noodly on you, you know? It gets all wavy. Doesn't like being wet. So after you do the first coat really light, you let that dry. On a sunny day, even on a modestly crappy day, when you put this outside, it's cardboard. It sucks the water up from that paint, and that paint dries almost as fast as you put it on. So it's very feasible that you can do all 3 coats of paint within, oh, everybody loves pizza. And the thing about this is that it's simple. Building a pointed bow, people say, well, isn't it faster if it's pointy at the front? And I go, it depends who's paddling it. And how much does hydrodynamics really enter into the speed of a boat being paddled by 2 or 3 people at 2 or 2.5 miles an hour? It almost doesn't matter. It's a very complicated math problem to figure that out. I don't have the time for that. I think it's easier just to make the boat simple, and this is simple. If you want to make it more complicated, be my guest. What does matter a lot is if the people who are in the boat have ever paddled a boat before. A lot of people who get in the cardboard boat have never paddled a boat in their life. And it's really a lot of fun for the people watching to see you struggle with that. So it's just absolutely fine to get in your boat and not have a clue what you're doing. We'll enjoy that. Laughing at the race is all part of the day's event. But if you want to be competitive, I would suggest that you borrow somebody's canoe or rowboat and go out and practice paddling together with the people that are going to be in your boat, because then you'll know how to steer. Now the race is, like I said, it's just a little bit over 100 yards, but there have been people who have managed to make that race 250 or 300 yards by zigzagging all the way down the course. And like I said, that's all part of the fun. That person in the back of the boat, if you got somebody who knows how to steer it, that's really helpful. If the person in the back doesn't know how to steer it, oh, it could be a long race for it. All right. Now, the bow of this boat, you're going to see come together here, and we just give it. It's got a slight angle to it, and that's what gives it the shape of a John boat instead of just a plain old pizza box. But need a couple of screws, and now they're using power screwdrivers here because it's faster, and these guys get paid by the hour. If you're using a power screwdriver, you gotta have a touch board, or you just spin them out and strip them. And it might be advisable for you to just use a hand screwdriver. Especially for the guys that are trying to make this thing last a couple of weeks. They want to assemble these as slow as possible. They'd like to be able to take home pictures to show their project, but say, we need to get together again tonight because we haven't, we had some beverages there that we haven't completed yet, and we're going to work on the boat too. So, there is the third and final section, the bow. For you land lovers, the front. Now the bow and the stern go on opposite ends, so they're bringing the rest of the boat down to align it with the front of the boat. And once again, they've done it perfectly. What a great fit they got going there. These guys have obviously folded cardboard before. So, we're getting near the end here. Just a couple more important tips. One of the tips I'm going to give to you is that the height of the boat might be important. As an example, if a little guy like that's going in this boat, this might be too tall, unless he's got a really long paddle, which will be hard for him to handle. So you want to make sure that you can, you might try kneeling in it and going, how high does it have to be? Now, it's nice if the sides are tall enough that they hit you, if you're oh, I just said something important and I should point that out. I mentioned that we're kneeling in the boat. Some people think it's cool to put a seat in the boat. Not very cool. Because there's no weight to this boat, and if you're sitting up on a seat and all the weight's up high, what's going to happen? Oh, you're going over. It's going over. It's dumping you right out of there. So you got to kneel on the floor to keep your weight low, or you're going to be swimming. But we like swimmers at the Cardboard Boat Race. That's how you become an expert, remember. So anyway, the boat, when you're racing and paddling, starts rocking around and you might get thrown off balance. And if the side of the boat is so low on your thigh when you're kneeling, you're just going to go, whoa! And sometimes I've seen people lose a crew member, but just keep going. They don't stop and go back to that person or try and save them. They're just trying to win. And then this person's out there in the middle of the harbor going, hey, where are you going? And they have to walk to shore by themselves. But that's okay. We'll have people there throw you a life ring, get you out of the water. Even if your buddies, who you built this boat with, are not polite enough to let you get back on board, which they rarely are. So, build the boat, sides of the boat tall enough, but then I've seen people build the side of the boat 4 feet tall. And I go, oh, we're kneeling in the boat. Hey, we're paddling, but we can't reach the water. So, if you build the sides of the boat really tall, make sure you're really tall to go along with it, and that you have a really long paddle. Make that all fit. Just keep that in mind. This is a nice height. It doesn't have to be this high, because remember, the displacement of this with 4 people in it, this is still only going to sit 3 or 4 inches in the water. Half this tall is plenty, but keep that whole could launch you in mind. Now, if you're kneeling in this boat and you get off balance and you lean against the side, it's not going to stop you anyway. It's going to pull down as you fall out, and then it's going to do what we call the big gulp. As you go into the water, it's going to take a big gulp of water, and as you fall into the water, the big gulp of water is going into the boat. And now you've doomed the rest of your friends. They're going to be sitting in there now up to their mid-thighs in this big thing of water you just let in. And it's all over very quickly though. So, anyway, here's a couple of tips on how you're going to keep from the sides of your boat collapsing if you accidentally lean on it. You guys, oh there, that's what I was looking for. The secret inner layer, alright? Now, cardboard is made with corrugations, and we already said it likes to fold with the corrugations. So what we want to do is we want to have, when we make the boat, the outer layer, the corrugations are going from front to back. The inner layer, the corrugations are going to be running from side to side. That's how you can get in this boat, and I can get in this boat, and I'm not quite 300 pounds, but I can get in one of these boats and walk around, and it doesn't fold up on me because the corrugations are going each way, and the water underneath is pushing back at me. So, some people think you got to make this 4, 5, 6 layers thick. No way! It gets so heavy when it gets soaked with water, it takes a crane to get it out of the water, to get it in the dumpster when you're done. And so 2, if you got extra cardboard, you can throw, if you had pieces you were using as drop or underneath it, you could throw them in the bottom. But it's all not necessary. This boat is going to take on water and soak up once you start racing it over the course. That's why we make you complete 3 races, because we want to soften it up in the first or second round, And here is a big important tip. Some of my friends think you should leave the boat in the water the whole time. Some of my friends, and they think that you should leave it in the water because once it's soaked up some water and gets heavy, you do more damage to it getting it out in between races. Remember, we try and do this thing quick, get it over in an hour. Now, some of my friends don't want it in the water because the water is doing it damage and they want to take it out. And I just want to say that I stick with my friends on this one, no matter what. So you can decide who you want to stick with. If you're going to take it out of the water, bring a piece of scrap cardboard with you, because once your boat's softened up, you don't want to be setting it on all the little pebbles and stuff out in the parking lot. You're going to poke little holes through it. And we already know that some of you are nervous about having holes in the bottom of your boat. So don't put more holes in the bottom of your boat. Don't be worried about leaving it in. A lot of boats blast the whole time in the water. I've had one of these that I put in the water as soon as we got there to set up, and when it was time to go, it had now been in the water over 3 hours. We had everything packed up, and everybody said, "Hey, Derry, you can't get in that boat now." They were like really hoping they're going to see me swim. And I went over there and I got in it, and it was all wiggling around like jello on springs. But it helped me. And I got out, and I got dry. And I got in the truck quick because I was afraid they were going to try and throw me in. But they did get me that time. Anyway, I think I'm getting it covered now. You want to, so we're talking about how to keep from going in the water. And you see this top layer here? In boat speak, this is called the gunnel. And by putting that fold there, and you can make your inner layer extra long, you could fold that over with it. So you have 2 layers folded over. By folding that, you're giving that extra strength. And then, did you make up the strap pieces?
Yeah. And, they might be behind that piece right there.
All right. Now, because of the length of this boat, and this is a boat that's absolutely adequate for 4 people or even 6. If you were going to use 6 people, what I would probably recommend is that, as an example, you move this back and move this one here and create like 3 cockpits for everybody to have a spot. And again, probably leave it. Remember that the people here got to kneel, so leave enough room for their legs to kneel. And as I said, if you get in and try this with everybody, you'll know if you've got enough room, if you're getting in it, protect it. But usually we just use a center strap. 1 center strap holding this. If you got 4 people in this boat, that's beautiful. And that center strap, if somebody leans into the side, it holds the boat together so that the gunnel doesn't fold out and do the big gulp. And
Did you talk about the width of the boat?
oh yeah, skinny boats are faster, mostly faster to roll over. If you are an experienced kayaker, you may find that you can remain upright with the boat in the 22 to 26 inches wide area, and it's probably going to be fast. If you're not a really experienced kayaker and you build something that skinny, it's going to be fast to roll over and you're going to be swimming, which is why we're all going there. Remember, so be my guest, build a skinny boat. We love to see those. Now, if you're going to be, since you came to the cardboard boat class, you want to know how to build it right? Something about like this works. This is plenty wide. And
42 inches.
42 inches. And you can go down to 36, 38 is a pretty stable boat. We don't see many of those rolling over. You get under 30, you get into the low 20s, that's when you got to be good. And you got to remember, even if you are good at kayaking, kayak's got a little weight to it. Cardboard boat hardly has any. It sits so high and in the water, and there's nothing much to hold you. There's very little to deal with the forces of gravity which weigh upon it.
And we can use duct tape, you said, on the seams.
Exactly, and that was the. Oh, I covered up the duct tape. That's why I forgot to mention that. After you're to this stage, you can tape the exterior seams with duct tape.
What about the interior, whether you put the boat, whether you put this inside?
You certainly can.
Can?
You certainly can. By the
Okay.
time the water's getting in there, though, it doesn't matter. But this boat, the design of this boat really minimizes the underwater seam area. But if you want to go from two strips from side to side where these join, and then in the corners, it's a really good idea to. And it could be duct tape, it could be masking tape, it could be whatever tape you have around the house, Gorilla tape, any of that expensive stuff. We're not getting any strength from this because we got our strength from the glue. All we're doing is creating a place so that the paint can really seal. And we're closing up those seams, and so that when we put that 3 layers of paint on, we end up with a nice shell of paint. Because the whole trick to this thing is a good paint job. That's what makes the difference. And I recommend that because of the size and this and everything, if you've got a roller around, it makes it go quick. You can put it on thick with a roller. You can put that roller in a plastic bag between coats, and you can use the same roller without having to go clean it every time, because you're going to do these coats relatively quick. You know, every half hour or so, you're going to be coating this thing again. And for that last coat, you know, if I've got 3 coats on and I still got a little paint left, I just turn the boat over, dump it down the seams, and spread it around. So, we good?
Yeah.
Any other questions?